This is Season 7 of the Team Roping Journal's podcast, The Score, the show that started it all in the whole podcasting game in team roping and rodeo. At 3 million downloads and counting, this is where team ropers talk, from our weekly short score episodes to the longer sit-down conversations that we get to have that dive deep into the personalities, producers, and horses that inspire the sport. This is where team ropers get their must-know information. Hey everyone, good morning. This is Chelsea Schaefer, and this is The Score. This is a special episode of the podcast that I am dropping today to let you all know about a way to help with the Hurricane Helene relief. Things are absolutely chaotic over in North Carolina, South Carolina, all over the East Coast right now with that horrible storm that dropped 25 inches of rain. And I have a friend who works in the disaster relief industry. Her name is Cindy Perez. She owns the stallion, The Animal, that stands at Solo Select. So I've connected through Cindy through a lot of different channels. She's good friends with Larry D. Guy and Hope Thompson and involved with the Rope Like a Girl campaign. So Cindy and I have lots of different touch points. So anytime there is a disaster, I think of her because that means she's extremely busy. She works in the Caribbean, all over the Gulf Coast, all over the U.S., really doing all sorts of things. But she has been very busy with Hurricane Helene, and she's seen so much and talked to her crews who have been on the ground because she knows what the needs are. She is organizing some trucks leaving Texas to head to Asheville, North Carolina to deliver supplies directly to people who need it. She has all kinds of contacts on the ground. I know that team ropers as well, from John Johnson and a lot of his crew at JX2, they have been helping people on the ground. There's team ropers involved in those mule trains that are delivering supplies all over the region, places where people can't get to by cars because roads are washed out. And so Cindy and her crew with the Animal Stallion that she owns and Solo Select, they are helping by sending semi-loads of supplies, and we are collecting things here in Weatherford, Texas, at the Sheriff's Posse Arena. So we're going to talk on this podcast about how you can help and what sort of items are needed, and about the donation centers here in Weatherford. And there's one in Beaumont, Texas too, where you can bring supplies like fencing supplies, horse feed, toys for kids, bedding, anything, clothing, all sorts of stuff, preferably new items. They need new things that are going to work and help them out in a big way. They need chainsaws. They need things to clean up their yards, clean up roadways with, clear roadways. So Cindy is our guest today on this special episode of The Score, where we talk about how you can help through the team roping community with Hurricane Helene relief. We're doing this interview at 5:40 a.m. I am positive that I have never interviewed a team roper at 5:40 a.m. So thank you for being the earliest interview ever in the history.
There you go. Welcome to my world.
So
okay. Mornings.
Yes. What is your world? Explain to people who are listening and who are used to me getting on here and talking about head horses or heel horses, why we are talking today. What is Cat 5 Resources and what are you up to?
Well, my association with you is with the animal, but on the flip side of that, I own Cat 5 Resources, and we provide backup power and fuel resources for the critical infrastructure. So all the wireless carriers that are out there, we bring backup power to the towers to get them power back up to provide cell service for the communities that are affected during disasters.
And that's what you're doing right now on the East Coast. So when did you get the call? Did you know Hurricane Helene was going to roll in like it did? How does that process work for you?
So we work with the carriers, and we work with they have their own weather reporting services. So we do a lot of planning, knowing, here's where it's coming in, here's, what category it's going to be. And we pre-stage assets. So my men and fuel resources and generators, we pre-stage them in the areas. And then once the storm passes, we're, one of the first responders in and we go in and get the towers running again. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it. I don't think anybody really understood the implications the storm was going to have in North Carolina. I think that's why it's so devastating, and people have not. I've been through Harvey. I've worked every storm since 2004, but I was affected during Tropical Storm Imelda, and I had 4 foot of water in my house and had to evacuate my horses, and it's just devastating whenever you can't do anything about water. And they weren't expecting 25 inches of rain up there. They knew, I think people know what the weather service is saying, but for it to actually rain that much, I didn't evacuate during Hurricane Harvey, and we had the same amount of rain. And at that time, it didn't get into my house, but I didn't evacuate during Imelda, and I got 4 foot of water in my house. When I woke up, I stepped off into water. So I think that some of the people up there just, they thought I can ride it out. It's just rain. But the people on the ground are telling me how devastating it is, and that, people's houses are just totally gone. They're washed away. They have nothing. There's people living in parking lots, in tents. My guys yesterday met up with a couple of families that were living in tents and different parking lots. And 3 or 4 days ago, there was a family of 8 living in a church parking lot, and they had nothing left of their house. Literally everything is gone. So, and it's really eye opening on the ground to see this kind of thing, and for people not to have literally anything.
Yeah, and we have a full list of everything that people need on the Animals Facebook page, and I'll put it on Team Repping Journal's website. But you had said to me that the children are really deeply affected. Explain more about that.
So every storm we go into, and the company does this with every storm. At the end of our recovery efforts, whenever things get to a leveled out point, we always take in donations and have them delivered. But what you see whenever you go out into the field to make these deliveries is that the kids are so devastated. The adults know what happened. The kids don't understand that they have no home anymore, or they have their homes flooded, and they don't have their toys. They don't have a bed to sleep in anymore. So imagine being a child and that happening. You've basically lost everything. So I think it's important to remember to bring the kids stuff. I always bring them toys. During Maria, whenever we would go out, we brought toys, but I also brought them all candy bars. We've done stuff like we've sent ice cream trucks out through neighborhoods and given out free ice cream to all the kids, just to brighten their day a little bit and make things, a little bit happier for them, because all they're seeing right now is the devastation.
Yeah, absolutely. Horse owners and people who own livestock, what we were speaking about earlier, or before we started recording, was there's no fences anywhere. Fences are gone, so people don't have. Yeah. It's kind of equine chaos.
It is. It is. I talked to a lady who owns. She has a stallion breeding facility, but she also takes in rescues. And she is in Black Mountain, North Carolina. And I talked to her, and she didn't know how she could even get out of the area that she was in. But her horses were just running around. They had no fencing left. She was trying to figure out how to evacuate them because she had no way to contain them. Besides that, she had 2 bales of hay that were salvaged, basically. And, she has 16 horses on her property. So she was going to have to find a way to evacuate them. But, a lot of them don't have fencing. I talked to the Cajun Navy day before yesterday, and they had rounded up some horses, but they were going to look at the brands to see if they could find the owners based off the branding of them. So they're pretty much just running around trying to find their homes, I guess. They found one under a gas station awning, just hanging out.
Oh my goodness. So the most direct way that right now that we have for people to help is, first of all, thank you to Southern Ranches and Shane Boston and the Notorious B.I.G., because they've donated 2 truckloads of hay. that you're going to have sent out there.
I think that's amazing.
That's absolutely amazing. Especially
Yes.
we're going into the fall. It's unbelievable that people are doing that sort of thing. And then we have a truck in Weatherford that's coming on Saturday morning. We will have a truck ready to load. What sort of things do you think are most important? We talked about the kids stuff. We talked people need fencing supplies. They need bedding, things for horses. But what else are some big priority items that people could bring?
Well, if you think about, whenever I flooded during the melt, I didn't want to leave my house like I did. They wanted me to leave and go stay in a hotel. There was, number one, there's no hotels in Asheville right now, I can tell you, to stay in. But I wanted to stay with my property. So we've listed some things on the Facebook page, such as, little Weber grills or the little Coleman grills that have the little propane tanks so that they can cook some canned food items and can openers so that they can open the food, cook the food. All non-perishables, of course, because we don't have anything refrigerated to take them out, but cots, bedding for the kids, pillows. I think that they probably would appreciate some hygiene items, whether it be wipes, things like that.
So this stuff is going to leave Weatherford on Sunday night and head straight to North Carolina. We are working with people on the ground to figure out where it should go. And there's a place in South Texas too that you're working with, correct? You have a truck in.
Yes. Yeah, we have a donation center in Beaumont, Texas. Then we're taking the same type of supplies. We're collecting all the same items listed on social media, plus feed, etc. For and there's other animals too that are out there that they need help with. So they're going to collect a truckload in South Texas as well.
Yeah, it's awesome, and we'll talk later to John Johnson and other people who are helping. But the horse industry is certainly jumping in to help because there are so many people so deeply affected. You're gonna go next week and be part of the donations and see things on the ground for yourself, correct?
Correct. Yes, and I usually always go. I'm real funny about I've experienced before where we've made big donations and they don't actually get to the people that need them. So I'm going to make sure that we have locations where we can directly give them, give these items to the people. I'm not just going to drop them off somewhere and let somebody else be responsible for it. So me and my team will be there. We will hand them out ourselves, make sure they go to the places that need to be taken care of.
Sure. And now, Cat 5, we're talking about this storm specifically right now, but you work in the Caribbean as well. Is that and across the Gulf? What's your region, I suppose?
Well, we'll go anywhere, but our main region is the southeast United States, from Texas to Florida, up to the Carolinas, and then over, we have an office in Puerto Rico where anything that hits Puerto Rico, we respond to as well.
Got it. And now you mentioned it earlier, but you and I are connected through the animal. Tell me about how you got, you're originally in cutting, you're jumping into team roping and breakaway roping right now. How did you get involved with the animal?
So I actually owned, I got into cutting just by chance, and I fell in love with it. I actually originally owned Fantastic Cat, and long story behind that, but whenever he was staying at Buffalo Ranch, I actually got a call one day about the animal being available. And I was actually working the California wildfires whenever that happened. And I had seen him before, and I loved him and Lee Francois, and had watched them, show. And he became available, and I took a chance and said, "Hey, I'm gonna do this." So I acquired him, and I love him. He's an amazing stallion. He's got some great offspring out there that are, in the hands of Larry D and Hope Thompson and Fred Whitfield, and they're all loving them. So I'm super excited about the roping side of it.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure there will be lots more on that subject
Oh
in
yeah.
the coming months and coming years. So, um,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm excited. I'm excited about his cutting and his cow horse babies as well. But he's so athletic and he can go in so many different directions. His offspring can. So it's
Yeah.
super exciting.
Yeah, and I was with Mel at Solo yesterday, and she said that he's at Select Breeders right now, getting collected, doing all sorts of stuff for Australia because we were gonna go shoot with him, and he's in Australia, or he's getting collected to go to send semen to Australia, so he's got quite the international impact as it is. So we are
Yes,
seeing
absolutely.
lots of fun, but
Yeah.
and yeah, so on his Facebook page actually is where people can find all of the information for donations. It's where it's the circling back to all of this. That is where the kind of the hub for us distributing information about these relief efforts, because we had the largest footprint over on the animals page, and luckily because we were collecting in Weatherford, there happen to be a lot of cutters here in Weatherford, America. So it's a good place and a good way to distribute it. I was looking at the people who shared the post, and there's like the post for the donations with the truck, and there's like some of the best reiners and cutters and cow horse people in the world. So I have all the faith that this truck is going to be filled up very quickly, and I'm excited that
Me
we can
too.
send some help.
Well, and if we need a second truck, I will get a second truck. We'll gladly do that as well.
Yeah,
So,
it wouldn't be a problem if we got too much stuff.
yeah, it would not.
Mm-hmm.
It would not. Would not at all. I know the people will be very grateful for it. I'll tell you a little story before we wrap up.
Mm-hmm.
There's some assisted living facilities that were affected, and a friend of a girl named Cheryl Shaw that works for me, her friend runs these three facilities. And so she was talking to Cheryl, and she was talking about the people who the workers, and how they, some of them lost their entire houses, and some of them, are living in their houses, but they have no utilities, no water, and have been flooded and just don't have anything. So, but they're still showing up for work. They're coming to work. They don't make very much per hour, barely enough to get
Wow.
by, and they're still coming to work, but they don't have any food. There's no food available in the area. And so yesterday, my guys made a road trip to Charlotte and picked up some non-perishables. And they went and rented a U-Haul, filled it up, and went and dropped it off. And these people were so ecstatic because um, the state is feeding the residents
Mm-hmm.
of the facilities. And when the workers go home, they don't have anything at their homes for their kids to eat and all of that. And the facilities were letting them come up, but they can't let them stay up there 24/7. So we brought them some non-perishables yesterday, and two of my managers went and did it, and they were in tears.
Oh man.
They were in tears. It's two of my gentlemen that work for me, and they were like, "Y'all made me cry today." I was like, "I know it really is. It's heartwarming." Because they're so appreciative, and especially when it goes to places that truly need the items. So,
Yeah, just people helping people. That's
absolutely, that's what it's all about.
absolutely. Well, thank you, ma'am. I will let you get to work, saving the day as always. It's not quite 6 a.m., so 7 a.m. over there, so I'm sure your crews are buzzing you.
Oh yeah, they're up and going. Up
Thank.
and going. Well, thanks for getting up so early and doing this.
It's all good. I'm headed to Abilene. Things never stop around here either in team roping land. No, we're not saving anybody's day in general, but we are talking about horses all day, so I have a long day of that. So I appreciate it. Thanks, Cindy.
Well, thank you so much, Chelsea.
Thank you all so much for listening to this special episode of The Score. Remember, if you are looking for the full list of information as far as where to bring supplies, where to drop them off, how to help, you can find all of that information at The Animal on Facebook. That is facebook.com/noordinaryanimal. And I will get the list on teamropingjournal.com too, so you can find out how to help if you're in North Texas. Beyond that, there are financial donations through the Red Cross. They get the help on the ground where they need it. And I appreciate you all listening and jumping in to be of assistance to these people who are suffering right now.